Thanks, Bob. So I'm sure you figured out the topic by now.
What's that?
Aligning with divinity, aligning with spirit. You know, actually, spirit, divinity, God has been given close to 1,000 different names by the human race. We've all approached the notion that there is something out there. We've tried to define it and describe it and name it and so forth. And it's all kind of a fruitless venture because people actually argue about whose God is better than the others. Can you imagine that? Never doubt the vitality of the ego. The ego wants to have an argument about something. Doesn't matter what it is. Just loves the contention and the discussion and the elevated sense of importance that one gets from that kind of a venture. But when we say align with divinity, what in the world are we talking about? What are we aligning with? What is divinity? Is it a being? Probably not. For eons, God, for shorthand terminology, has been described as a being, a super being, someplace distant from us. And that has created a whole bunch of notions about divinity. There is a substantial portion of the world that believes that God has rules and laws that can't be violated. And that if you make a habit of violating them, God will actually get angry. And that's just a human attribute that has been foisted onto this thing that we call divinity or God or Allah or you name it, the Great Spirit. All that is, 1,000 different names for the same concept. We're talking about the same thing. So, what exactly are we aligning with? For those of you who are Star Wars fans, it's really very close to the Force. It really is an apt description because it is an energy field that has ultimate good in mind for everything. Ultimate good for everything in the universe. Well, that's an interesting concept, but that's really what we're up to. If we can align ourselves with that force, that field, that energy that is divinity, that is spirit, everything else changes. Because when we are in opposition to that, our mind is in charge. And the mind, as Joshua says, was never, ever designed to be in charge. The mind is a wonderful tool. It helps you distinguish things from each other. And it helps you to take measurements and all those things that are important in a world of duality. But it's never designed to be in charge. Joshua tells us the heart is to be in charge. The heart, the essence, the location of our divine spark. Our divinity lies in our heart, not in our mind. So when we allow all of the cumulative thinking that has grown up over eons of time, eons, literally thousands and thousands of years, perhaps hundreds of thousands of years, have gone into the making of the collective unconscious. And that is an energy field in itself. And it pervades everywhere. And it floats in and out of our awareness, and we sometimes glom onto it. We sometimes accept notions that are foisted upon us from the outside. These thought systems basically arising out of fear and lack. Those are the two primary energies that are foisted upon us by the world. And what are we doing when this happens? We are simply allowing that energy, that thought system, to hack our God consciousness, to hack into and take over our awareness of who we are. So what we're really up to is building a better firewall. Building a firewall against hackers. And that's what's going on, is that this energy is seeking to take over our thinking. To make us believe that there is lack. There is no lack. There is simply no lack. This is an abundant universe. There is plenty everywhere. And we all have access to that plenty. So what are we doing? We are allowing the belief in fear, the worry about tomorrow, the guilt over yesterday, and all of those associated feelings to take over our consciousness, to take over our awareness of who we really are. We actually have, at our fingertips, access to all of the power in the universe. And it's called divine mind. Mind is powerful. But if we let ourselves get hacked, we get garbage as a result. We get a life of misery. We get a life that manifests lack, simply because we believe in it. We allow ourselves to get trapped into believing that there isn't enough. And you can fill in any one of 1,000 different nouns into that blank space that comes after enough. There isn't enough time, there isn't enough money, there isn't enough food, there isn't enough oxygen. You know, we've got all of those ideas covered. And they float around out here in the universe. And we allow ourselves to get trapped into believing that stuff. So, it's not about faith. We all actually have 100% faith. You cannot lack faith. The question is, what do you put your faith in? Do you believe that this is a friendly universe? Do you believe that divinity wants the best for all beings? Or do you believe that it ain't going to work out? Well, I never win anything. So the question is, what are you putting your faith in? Do you believe, do you personally believe that as a divine soul, an eternal being, that you have as your birthright access to the unlimited power of divinity?
Yes.
Good. Good for you. And everyone else is encouraged to take that on. And to the extent that you find yourself worrying this afternoon about what's going to happen tomorrow or next week or next year or next decade, when you find yourself worrying, just say to yourself, stop it. Just stop it. That's all you have to do, is just, okay, look at what the ego's doing to me. My ego has run rampant. I am allowing myself to be hacked. Put up your firewall. Be aware of the thoughts that are sneaking into your consciousness. Because we always have that going on. There's no way that you can go through this the rest of the day without having some thought about lack or limitation or worry or, oh, perhaps you have a whole list of shoulds. Maybe you even have some should nots. But there is, in truth, no limitation. There is no lack. There is no rule. There's no judgment. There simply is what you have chosen. You will never, ever, ever, ever be judged except by yourself. You simply are not judged. There is no hell. There is no such concept of that other than of your own creation. I've been to hell, and I don't think I want to go back. You know, and it was my own thinking, my own behavior system, my own life patterns that took me there. It wasn't much fun. Seemed to have its rewards at the moment, but it really was no fun at all. And I'm not going back, at least easily. Someone might drag me there, but it's doubtful that I would go there again. Simply because I'm aware now that I have a choice. I am in charge. And that is what is really the most important part of this, is that you are the captain. You are the one with 4 stripes on your shoulder boards. You are the captain of your ship. You determine the course that you take. You determine the thoughts that are welcome in your mind. You're the one that has the power to say, stop it, or find your way into a place where you can listen to the still small voice for God, which whispers to you constantly. It's never, ever, ever going to impose its will upon you. It doesn't say, do this or I'm going to get angry. It simply says, here I am, take me. I am yours. But you have to be willing to shut out all of the clamor and clanging gongs that seem to be going on as a result of the thousands of years of ego consciousness that floats around in the universe. So, the answer to this sickness is an awareness that it is going on and that we're choosing it, or we're allowing it. Most of our apparent choosing is based on simply not knowing any different, not knowing any other way to function. So, access to this truth of your being can come in any one of a number of ways, but there's silence, there's meditation, there is, in the science of mind tradition, spiritual mind treatment, which isn't prayer so much as it is an affirmation that who you are is already fully present, and that you are already completely blessed by the infinite loving Creator. So it's an affirmation of the truth of your being. And all of those things are what sometimes people get truth simply by sitting by a brook and listening to the sounds of nature. That's a very, very deep and powerful spiritual place for many people to be. So experiment, find a way to access the touch point between you and the still small voice for God, because it wants you to succeed. It wants you to be all that you can be. It doesn't want you to pass a test. It doesn't send you things that will get in your way. Divinity simply is infinite unconditional love and extends itself to you without judgment, without withholds. There is no lack, there is no limitation. The universe is an abundant place. So, don't let yourself get hacked. Be vigilant. Pay attention to the thoughts that are finding comfort in your mind. Know that you have charge over who's sleeping overnight in your mind. You do not have to allow that stuff to go on in your mind. We do. Well, my mother told me, or whatever it is that, you know, well, when I was growing up, the nun said X, Y, Z. It doesn't matter where it came from. But if it results in you worrying, in you experiencing fear, or thinking about lack, it's not divine. It's a hacker. So, build yourself a firewall. Open mic. Lindsay.